What's up, everybody? Welcome to another stream here this morning. Again, I'm running behind. I'm running late. I keep forgetting. I keep losing track of time. What I mean by that is like the pace I'm running, what pace I'm moving my morning. I mean, shit. I was up at 5 o'clock. I don't know. It's a good song. Gotta be honest, I woke up this morning and there's snow everywhere. I got on 2 coats. What the hell's going on? Stupid climate change. Always muffing up my plans. What are you gonna do? Welcome, Lance. Welcome, welcome. Uh-oh, Renma. Be careful. Hello. Hello. Very snowy out. I'm very upset about that. Gotcha. Gotcha, Well, that's good. At least you're getting your work done. I think I'm going to stop and get breakfast again this morning. Gotcha. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. I think I'm going to ask Honey Mommy to line me up in the neck. I'm not going to ask her to cut my hair, but just line my neck up a little bit. I'm okay. Currently driving my apartment so I can work. Then I'm going to be off Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Because I'm going to New York. We'll see. Yeah, it's going to be good. Yeah. I've been acquiring a lot of tools lately. It's so weird. The differences between when you live in an apartment or in a home that's owned. What I mean is, Honey Mommy, Christina, owns her house. She doesn't rent, she owns it. So, when you live in an apartment or you rent, the responsibility, the level of responsibility is much different. Because if something's wrong, you call the landlord, say, hey man, we need to fix this shit. Right? We need to take care of this. We need to get this addressed. And when you are not an owner of a property, or when you are rather an owner of a property, it's all on you. So, her ex has a lot of tools, and he's a very mechanically inclined person. And a lot of that stuff she doesn't have access to anymore, understandably so. And me being in an apartment and renting for basically my entire adult life, I haven't had to acquire a lot of actual tools, power tools, let's say. What is this? I've owned, you know, basic stuff, channel locks or groove joint pliers, hammers, screwdrivers, you know, the basic stuff. Power drill, impact drill, or hammer drill, however you want to call it. But I never had to own saws and things like that, so projects you have to do in a house when it's owned. A lot of things you have to fix. It's all on you to take care of it. I've been slowly acquiring tools. I just bought a reciprocating saw. Some people call it a Sawzall. Sawzall is a brand, I believe, by Milwaukee. I could be wrong. But Sawzall is a brand. The actual saw is called a reciprocating saw. Basically, it mimics hand sawing. So you get a hand saw to saw through a piece of wood. It does the same thing in a really fast motion. And it saws through stuff. I had to cut a gutter off that broke and installed a temporary piece in its place until we get that piece replaced this summer. And then I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought here. Then I bought a jigsaw. A jigsaw, basically, if you have a piece of wood and you need to cut something other than a straight line, you need to cut some sort of pattern, a curve, if you will. A jigsaw can be used. It almost looks like a circular saw. A circular saw. Sorry, guys, I'm going through a dead. The stream's probably going to buffer 3 more times. If it buffers, it's not you, it is me. 3 more times. It was 1, 3 more. Maybe 2 more. But it's not going to buffer 3 more times. But anyways, I got the jigsaw. Now I have to get a Dremel or an oscillating tool, an oscillating saw. And that allows you to do much more intricate work. It's very often used for cutting holes in drywall. Let's say you put a piece of drywall and you have to cut a hole out for something, a vent. You can use a Dremel, which looks like a longer, almost like a drill, but it's elongated. And on the edge of it, think of like a paint scraper. That's on the edge. And sorry about that, guys. I have to lay flooring down. You have to lay flooring down. And one of the things you have to do to lay flooring is around the bottom of the room. Most rooms have trim, little pieces. When you lay flooring down, because that usually buds up against the carpet or the flooring, you have to remove that. Now around doors, there usually isn't trim that's connected. Some doors have trim, some don't. But depending on the width of your floor, you won't be able to get underneath those door frames for that to go. So you get a Dremel and you go down there and just cut out little sections of it until you have enough space to slide the wood underneath that door frame. So it's very interesting. And when I was a kid, my dad is very mechanically inclined. He's a jack of all trades. He can do anything. And growing up, I was preoccupied with doing other stuff. My older brother, he picked up on those attributes. He went to school to be an engineer, went back to school and got all these certifications and maintenance stuff. So he's done a lot of stuff too, very mechanically inclined. My little brother is also going down the same path. In the maintenance realm. So getting his hands, working with tools, working with his hands, it seems to make him happy. But for me, I've always been on another end of the spectrum. I've always found technology, social media, these types of things more appealing to me. But as I get older, I know that I've missed out on a lot I could have learned from my dad that now I'm trying to make up for lost time. So I remember when I was a kid, I asked my dad, I'm like, Dad, how do you have so many tools? Because, you know, his garage full of all the best tools, every tool you can think of. If you need to do something, he has a tool that will address it, right? I'm sure you have someone in your life like that. So I remember asking him about this when I was a kid, and he goes, well, whenever I needed something, had to do something, I bought a tool to take care and do that task. Sure enough, I'm finding that as well. One of the things that me and Honey Mommy are doing in the driveway, we're taking these long 4x4 wood planks and we're creating almost like a curve surrounding the driveway. So take my impact drill, put a 1/2-inch spade bit and drill through it at an angle, hitting the ground, and then we take 2-inch, 2-foot rebar, solid steel rebar, it's braided, and we're taking a hammer and we're pounding it through the wood into the ground, 2 feet in the ground to hold them secure, much like you do a concrete curb, same principle. Well, we did that for a bunch of them, and then in the front part of the driveway, we're hitting it, and we're hitting the rebar, which is really hard work, by the way, because we're not using the sledgehammer or like, what's it called, a peen hammer? What do they call it? Shit, like a carpenter's hammer. I'm trying to remember the name of it. Something peen, P-E-I-N, peen hammer. Anyways, we're not using that. Ball peen, not a ball peen hammer. There's another name for it. But anyways, much heavier hammer, 2 to 3 pounds. Whereas compared to most hammers you use are like 12 ounces, 16 ounces, 22 ounces for a big carpenter hammer. These ones are big, thick fuckers. Almost like a mallet, but they're solid steel. Anyways, so we were using regular hammers. We got one of those, and it was much easier. However, these ones are hitting it, it's going ting, and it's not going in. After about a 1/2 foot, a foot. We're trying to figure out what the hell happened. Why can't we get this to go in? So something in the ground about a foot down or so in that area, we cannot get the rebar to go through. It won't go through it. So either due to the lack of force we have, or there's rocks under there, or we're hitting a pipe, or we're hitting something else. Now, my mother mentioned something to me, and it didn't even dawn on me. When thinking back at the sound it was making when we were hitting it, was a high-pitched ting sound, ting, which could be that we're hitting solid stone, or it could be that we're hitting a pipe. But I'm not aware of any pipe that would be 1 foot under the ground. I can't think of one. Now, one thing that I did think about was that the house we're in used to be an old telephone company in the early 1900s. So I'm curious if there are coils of wires laying under the ground. So I don't know. Ultimately, what we're doing instead is we're going to try and cut the rebar. One of them, I got a pair of groove joint pliers, also known as channel locks, and I gripped the rebar after it was about a foot down in this wood, very snug fit, and I wiggled it back and forth almost like a screw, and eventually got it out, which was a pain in the ass. It took a hot minute and it was not easy, but got that one piece out. Then we put a much shorter bolt we had in there in an effort to try and secure it. So for the other rebar, it's driving me nuts because we bent it down so it wouldn't be sticking straight up, but I don't like the way it looks. To me, it looks bad. So, oh, here we go. Hold on, wait a minute. There's a semi with snow going everywhere. Hold up. There we go. So, I'm probably going to I have to buy a circular saw now and get a diamond tip blade to cut through that rebar. So, in a perfect world, we would remove the rebar, lay it flat on a table, put it in a vise, and then cut through it. What we're probably going to try to do is to leave it in there and cut through it as it's there, and then try to pound whatever we have left into the wood. I don't know, but everything I've been researching, there's many ways you can do it. You had a cutting torch, you could easily do it. I remember, it makes me think when I was in high school, we had a metals class. And my friend Joe, we used to always be messing with the blowtorches. Anything we could find where we could weld something or find an excuse to use the cutting torch, we did. And I remember whenever we were doing stuff, my buddy Joe would always boil the water for some reason. He'd hit the cutting torch, and a cutting torch, if you haven't seen it, you guys have seen a blowtorch. a torch that you use to weld with. A cutting torch is the same principle, but at a much higher heat. So it's so hot that you can cut through metal. So he would just take it and point it at the water and just boil water in like seconds. And then he used to cut, he had this big, beautiful old vise on one of the workstations in the back. And the teacher was a drunk. He would drink and wander around. He would leave me and Joe, my friend Joey Fingers, alone. And I remember Joe, we're sitting there and he used the cutting torch to cut the vise in half. Why? I have no idea. Joe did weird stuff. He got away with a lot in that class. He never turned in his homework, but he would always work. He took apart all the tools and polished everything. And he got an A in that class somehow. He never did anything. So I don't know. But again, it's so weird how we perceive time. You know, time as a construct, or time as it's viewed, is quite fascinating. You think about all the times in your life where you've thought about a length of time. You know, we've all had those experiences where you go, man, this day flew by, or man, this day is dragging, this day is taking forever. Typically, the more that's taking place during a given moment will create the illusion of the day taking longer. So what I mean is, if let's say you had 10 minutes, and in that 10 minutes, you had to accomplish 5 tasks that you don't want to do, but you have to do them. That 10 minutes will feel longer than if you only had to do 1 task in that 10-minute period that you wanted to do. How we perceive it's interesting. When you think about, people talk about when you get older, you feel like time goes faster. And I remember watching a Vsauce video that was talking about time and reality and how we view things and through the prism of the human mind. And one of the things he was talking about, Michael was talking about in the video, was how as you get older, time seems to move quicker. And it's all relative to how much time has passed compared to your age. And by the way, thank you whoever liked the video. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for taking the time to do that. That means a lot to me. Anyways, he's talking about, why is the car pulling so hard? I have to look at my tires. Car's pulling. But anyways, he was talking about how time perceived may seem faster the older you get based on how much time compared to your life when you compare the two. So I'll give you an example. A 1 year, thank you for all you guys liking the video. I appreciate that. Sticking your fingers in the like button. But think of it like this. If you have a 10-year-old and you ask that 10-year-old to think about the last 5 years, and did it seem like it took a long time? Did it seem like it went quick? Their comparative understanding of time, that is 50% of their entire life when they think of 5 years. 50% of their entire life. You ask a 20-year-old, an 18-year-old. So when you think, when I was a teenager, time, I didn't think of it. I'm like, oh, in the future I'll do this, the future I'll do that, the future I'll do this, the future I'll do that. And as you get older, you look at time differently. You feel like time flies. Because comparatively, it's a much smaller percentage of your life. So because of that, it feels as though it's moved by very quickly. So when I think about the last 10 years, for example, I go, man, that last 10 years went by really fast. You know what I mean? And it's 10%, less than 10% of my life. But, wait, is that right? Wait a minute. Whatever, it's a small, it's, you get it, it's math, I don't fucking know. But it's a percentage of my life when compared to the full length of my life is not that much. But as I look at it and I think about it, I go, wow, you know, this time has seemed to move by quickly. So I think it's all relative to your age. I think it's all relative to how you perceive it. As I get older, time does feel as though it's moving by quicker. You know, I look at family and friends and I go, wow, my nieces, this one's been driving and they turned 21. This one is about to start driving. I look at my little brother's kid and I go, little muscly legs, look at him go. He's muscly all over. How do you get so muscly? Well, he's got good genes, first and foremost, because they're skin tight in all the right places. You thought I meant genes, G-E-N-E-S, but I meant J-E-A-N-S. You silly bastards. I'm going to grab some breakfast from Wendy's. Stand by, friends. I'm going to order some food for myself, my aunt, and my mother. I came here yesterday for breakfast during yesterday's stream, and it was a success. We all had a great time. Someone did the same thing.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very good. Yourself?
Good. What can we make fresh for you?
Yeah, can I please have 3 sausage, egg, and cheese biscuits? And can I get that cheddar cheese sauce on those? Or whatever it is?
Do you want to add the Swiss cheese sauce to it?
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be great. And then can I also have 3 large potato things?
Okay.
And then a large Sprite Zero. So
$20.50, please.
All right, thanks so much. She doesn't seem too happy with her job. I thought I was quite polite, lovable, dare I say. But let's see here. Is chat turned on? Yep, yes it is. Okay. Let me go get my card out. Boopity. Very seldom do you guys get a front view of me. Usually I'm off to the side somehow. But you realize my mustache is not perfectly symmetrical today, which is a bummer. What's going on? Who? Can you repeat how to say the epic question in Vietnamese again? I forget. You told me yesterday, but I forgot what it was. Can you remind me? It was something like ho, choi ho, epic. I can't remember. Koi hu, koi ha. I can't remember.
$20.50.
All right. Thank you. Oh yeah, she hates her job. Definitely hates her job. She cannot be bothered. That's okay though. So I'm going to New York tomorrow.
We're just playing on season potatoes. You don't mind pulling straight ahead?
Sure.
Right out. Thank you.
So I'm being pulled up because of the taters, the seasoned taters as they call it. Where am I going to pull up to? Right here? I'll pull up here so they can get to me easy. There we go. So the reason I brought up the whole tool thing is I've been buying knives lately. And I bought a really nice brand of knives as Kershaw. Kershaw makes really good knives. And I've always carried knives with me. This is one I got a while back. It's a Kershaw blade. It's just a traditional folding knife. Very sharp. I remember I made an Instagram post about it, that I cut my finger as soon as I got the knife. But it's a small little stubby guy. A Kershaw blade, it works really well. I've used this a number of different times and it's helped me out in many situations. And then it has the folding mechanism here that allows you to keep the blade locked. You push it over and close it. Now, I've been looking into things like assisted blades, assisted knives. And I was at Wally World and I came across these 2 really nice Kershaw blades. There was a dual set of them for $20. And I'm like, what? That little knife was like $45. I'm like, what the hell? So I don't know if it was a mistake or what. But anyways, I got these other Kershaw knives. This one's much larger. Another Kershaw blade. And it comes with the tool so you can change the amount of pressure in the assisted spring. So usually if you ever see a pocket knife that has this little nubbin back here, that means it's an assisted knife. Now, you may not have it spring assisted, but it means it's assisted, meaning that you can push down and usually you have to flick your hand and the knife blade will come out. This one has spring assistance, so I just push it down and the blade comes up. So it's a nice pocket knife. It's a larger size and you can do a lot of good stuff with it. I have 2 of these, one's a different handle, and I had to carve a bunch of stuff in a tree. Sounds really stupid, but I used a hammer and I was literally treating it like a chisel, and the blade held up really well. I I don't know why I'm doing a knife review at a drive-through Wendy's. But anyway, so these ones, if you notice that little nubbin I was talking about that you push on, again, it has a little locking mechanism. You push it over. But this one, it won't close. It has a spring in it that you can adjust. So I'm going to push it, and then it closes. So this little nubbin here you can use, again, to push out the blade. And you don't have to buy an expensive knife to get this. They sell these types at Walmart. But other ones that don't have the spring assistance, you push the nubbin and flick your wrist, and the blade will come out. So there was a couple of them that I came across that do that. Hello.
Hi. You're all set.
Thanks.
Yes, have a good day.
You too. But I find that these things happen sometimes where I get on these weird kicks. Hold on, I gotta clip it into my jeans. There we go. All right, let's roll. But I've been doing these things, and I bought a DeWalt. They are a tool manufacturer, and I was at Home Depot when I bought that reciprocating saw, and I saw they had a DeWalt pocket knife, and it had, it was an assisted knife. However, because of its design, it didn't have any sort of assisted spring mechanism inside of it, so it had a little nubbin, but if you push the nubbin, the knife comes out like halfway. So you have to flick it, and the knife will go frink, and it'll come open. So you can still do it one-handed. You pull the knife out, push the nubbin, and flip it, and then you got it. You can still do it one-handed. That was what attracted me to it, is its ability. Hold on, let me check the food. I forgot to check. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2 sandwiches. Where's the third sandwich? All right, there it is. I was gonna say, I'm like, mother. Ah! Potato bake. Yesterday I was talking about these, and what makes them unique is Dunkin' Donuts also has these hash browns you can buy. They're very good. What separates these from, I think, regular fries is the seasoning. Obviously, they're nice and browned, but they use like an onion seasoning, like an onion powder of some kind, and garlic, salt and pepper. But you can taste it. Look. And I find that I really like that flavor. It kind of reminds me of if you go to like Walmart or a grocery store and you buy a packet of ranch dressing seasoning, like Hidden Valley, Kraft, they make little, almost looks like taco seasoning for like making your own ranch dressing. And instead of using that as ranch dressing or making your own, you just use the seasoning. And if you cut up some potato wedges and sprinkle that on there, it's a very nice Italian seasoning. There's onion powder, there's garlic, there's all sorts of stuff. And it makes a really good potato, and that's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of the seasoning in ranch dressing. Not the flavor of ranch dressing, because ranch dressing has cream and oil, fat, that adds to the flavor, but just the seasoning parts. Hold on. Close his bag. All right, hit that sound. Hold on. There we go. That cigarette went out. I didn't get to finish it. I can start a new one now. Thanks a lot. But anyways, I lost train of thought. I bought a DeWalt knife. That was my story. And I bought these Kershaw knives. But I've been everything I get now as I get older. I was talking about this yesterday. I'm on this whole customize everything kick. Like I customize my glasses, make them unique to me. So other people may have these frames, but they don't have these exact glasses. I did the same thing to my sunglasses. Where basically I just took painter's tape, covered the inside and outside of the lens, and spray painted them, and then took a soft wood, like a popsicle stick, or I had to use a clothespin, and scraped it off. Now I've done it twice now with these ones and now with those ones. And I have learned a few things. So if you're ever wanting to do something like this, and I got the idea, it's not original, I got the idea watching a Casey Neistat video years ago when he was talking about his sunglasses. So the technique I did not invent. So I'm not going to act like I did. I'm not going to steal someone's, I'm not going to take someone's shine and then act like it's mine. If I'm going to shine on something and it's mine, I'm going to say it's mine. If it's not mine, I'm not going to steal no one else's shine. Anyways, but I found that the two mistakes I made was I spray painted the glasses like I was trying to do a good job. Short bursts. So it's a nice even coat throughout. You don't want that. You want it to be globby and misshapen and not good, because that's easier to scrape. You can break off chunks much easier with minimal effort. If you do a nice soft coating and spray paint it correctly, it's a pain in the ass, which is what happened to me. I had to cut into the frames scraping this stuff. I had to scrape it so hard that I cut into the frames themselves, and I was chipping away at plastic. So if you want to do something similar to, not necessarily glasses, but anything, remember that you don't want it to be a nice even coat. If your intention is to scrape it up and make it look bad, you know what I mean? Like you want it to look like it's chipped. You want to do heavy, thick coat, globby all over the place. Paint the clump and drip, and it's much easier to scrape, and you'll get bigger chunks, and it'll look better. As compared to doing a nice misting, even coat, then it's much more difficult to work with. So, some of these weird little projects I'm making, I'm going to start recording them, I think. I do these things. I enjoy doing them. Why not record them and show everybody? There may be some people interested out there. I don't know, for those that are watching right now, if anybody would be interested in seeing some of the stuff I make. I haven't been posting any of the music I've been writing over the last 20 years. Every once in a while I'll play a little bit, but I don't really showcase that stuff. And it's not because I'm worried about people's reactions. I think what part of it is for me is I'm worried that I won't be happy with it. And if I'm not happy with it, I don't want other people to look at it, because I feel as though they're not getting an accurate representation of my best. And if it's not my best, I don't want anybody to see it, because if it's not my best, the perception will be that it is my best. Does that make sense? It probably doesn't, but it's really not about what other people think. It's more about what I think. I was talking to Honey Mommy last night about something that happened to me years and years ago. The story itself is not important, but I don't get embarrassed. It's not a trait that I have. Typically, I don't get embarrassed. It's not something that I had to contend with. It's not an emotion or feeling that I often have to deal with. You know what I mean? I'm not a person that gets embarrassed. There are instances where I have, I think, but I told her one emotion that kind of in the same family as embarrassment that I have experienced is shame. Being ashamed of something. That I do experience. Remember when I was younger, I was really into sociology. Psychology, mostly sociology. How people act and react in group settings around other people. I always found that stuff fascinating. And one of the things I remember thinking as I was in my later teen years, I thought that at one point I may be a sociopath, because the emotions other people felt I didn't feel. Like I legitimately thought I was a sociopath. Not a psychopath, but a sociopath. I think psychopath is 100% unfeeling, no remorse, no nothing. Where I think a sociopath can feel emotion, but they can't feel the full range of emotion, and they have a tendency to mimic or mirror other people's emotions rather than experience or deal with them on their own. Anyways, that was what I found myself feeling like. That I was mirroring people. So if somebody was mad, I would mirror that and I would be mad. If somebody was upset, I would mirror that and then I would be upset. But later on, wow, it's hailing. It's getting dark now, it's hailing. But later on in life, I realized that wasn't the case. I did feel emotion on my own, but it wasn't like everybody else's. And the one that I noticed I very seldom felt ever at all was embarrassment. Even shame wasn't a part of that repertoire until after I got clean the last time. When I stopped doing dope, then all of those feelings, all of those emotions and things like that I never dealt with just went away. I'm sorry, not went away, the opposite of that. They all came flooding in. And I felt everything all at once, and it was overwhelming. And typically that's why most addicts and alcoholics in the beginning will relapse. Because when they get clean and they get sober and they have that sobering reality, the moment of clarity, if you will, all the reality of all their actions, the reality of all your choices hits you all at once. That was what I experienced. And think of it like this. If you haven't dealt with a serious addiction before that was detrimental to your life and your family and changed you as a person, I'm not talking about cigarette, I'm talking about like heavy duty drugs or alcohol, where you have family that has. One of the things that happens, and it's really hard to explain unless you've dealt with it, is when you first get clean, every bad thing you did in relation to that addiction hits you all at once. It hits you all at once. And you literally are living all of those moments over and over in your head. Not just one moment, all of the moments. Not just one bad thing, you did all the bad things. And it's so overwhelming and emotionally draining. I mean, it's like mental anguish. It's terrible. And I found that when that happened to me, I would relapse. I just couldn't cope. It was so much easier to red light. It was so much easier to just use, and then that would go away. You know, the way my mind works, people have often asked me why I did what I did and all these other things. And looking back, I have a few ideas, but it's hard to pinpoint. But I will say one part of it, especially as I got older, one part of my use came down to slowing down what's up here. My brain is operating at top speed constantly. I mean, it's a steady flow of information. I notice everything. I'll sit in a room and I'll see a speck of dirt in a corner. I'll see a piece of wrapper underneath a table. And I'll walk into a store as I'm talking to somebody and I'll notice that the light in one of the signs is out. Other people may have similar attributes. You may notice that you notice a lot of stuff too in life. And for me, it's really overwhelming because I can't help but notice stuff. And now I have to actively ignore things. Like I have to see something and then immediately draw my focus away to not notice it, to not realize it, to not pick up on this stuff. Because when you do, your brain is constantly in flux. And for me, that's too much, man. I got enough going on in my head, let alone noticing everything. You know what I mean? Noticing everything that's going on around me. Driving next to a car and seeing every single passenger, every single person, and recognizing and thinking about them. And it's just weird. It's hard to explain how my head works. But part of what I think was part of my use was escaping that, getting a break from that, and being able to think about whatever I wanted. I was very fortunate to survive because I abused things a great deal. You know, stuff with like alcohol wasn't a big deal. I drank a lot, but that was in social situations. I never drank alone, ever. It was never appealing to me. Weed, I don't think is a drug. I think that should be legalized across the board. Let people decide. I even think mushrooms should be legal and let people decide. Psilocybin has a lot of positive effects, especially for people that suffer from significant depression, anxiety disorders, etc. So my opinions on drugs and drug use vary, but at the end of the day, for certain types of drugs, I personally can't do them recreationally because I want to do them all the time. That's just me. Not all drugs. There's some drugs. There's some drugs I find very appealing. But the fact that I acknowledge it and I know that about myself is crucial information to have, because I know, hey, if I do this thing, I'm going to want to do it all the time. I'm going to want to do this every day. And I don't want that in my life anymore. Once upon a time I did. Once upon a time I didn't care. I do now. It matters now. You know, I have people in my life that I love. I have things in my life I want to accomplish. I have things in my life I want to do. And with those types of things kind of hanging over my head, it was a detriment. But anyways, on to other topics. Sorry about that, the long drawn-out spiel that most people might not even care to hear. But that's a little insight into how my head works. People ask me, I wonder what you're thinking about. I wonder what you're thinking about. I want to get inside your head or this or that. And it's like, nah, you don't. You don't want to be up in here, I promise. It is not appealing. There's a lot happening, and it is overwhelming. So for those that are always curious about what goes on in others' heads, there may be moments or opportunities where that may feel as though it's appealing, but be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. And I don't think some people can realize how thoughts can be overwhelming. Unless you've dealt with things like depression or anxiety, you may not realize what it's like to have those types of overwhelming thoughts that are so powerful that it messes with you, that it almost will draw your focus away from just what's in front of you. So I'm off on 50 different tangents at the same time. That's why if you hear me going into these long spiels where I'm talking a lot, I'll bounce around quite a bit, because I have these things that are parallel to one another. I have these parallel thoughts that as I'm saying this thing, there's this other thing that's running alongside of it that I have to say. So I'll quickly switch to it and then switch to the other thing and then back and forth, almost like a circuit. Like I'm going row one, like if this is in 4 rows, all running parallel ideas, I'll go from idea 1, jump to idea 3, to 2, to 4, to 3, to 1, to 2, and I'm going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's a weird thing. But anyways, all that said, guys, I'm almost to my destination now. So for those that have lingered throughout the duration of this stream, I want to thank you for that. It's very much appreciated. The fact that you took time out of your day to spend it with me. I'm always appreciative of your all's time. And again, you know, thank you for the opportunity to talk. Thank you for the venue to talk. I hope to get more content to you guys that you might find interesting or fun. So we'll see how that goes. But tonight is my last day of work, and then I'm going to New York tomorrow with Honey Mommy and the girls. So we'll be out having adventures. I'm going to record some stuff while I'm out there. So hopefully if I don't stream from there or during it, I will at the very least have some videos I can upload if you guys are curious. But that said, You know the drill by now. I am 95,000. I'm going to get you guys. Stay epic. I'll see you guys next time. Fucking go down. I will see you in the next stream, my sweet babies. Bye forever.